we've seen the most unlikely of groups come together. We've seen the far left, Marxist, communist, socialist, woke, shit for brains, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, team up with the far, the Islamist, extremists. Who do you think is the bigger threat to Western society? The growth, like a cancerous tumor of the left, the far left, I should say, please, or the Islamists coming here with a passion to enforce the caliphate?
Well, I think they now come hand in hand. I'd say there's a third group, if I may. The first, you're quite right to identify, there are radical Islamists who just do such a disservice to their faith and to Muslims around the world. And they have noticed something, which is that societies like ours are weak. We're very weak. We're pushed around all the time. The question of reciprocity is almost never brought up. But what does a tolerant, liberal, in the true sense, society like Canada or Britain or America do if it has people within it who would wish to stop it? That's a very big question we're going to have to answer in the coming years. The second, the group of far leftists and others, well, they're a case for a psychiatrist, really. Obviously, they include the absolute madmen, some mad them, I suppose one should say. I don't wish to misgender the criminally insane. Somebody mentioned Queers for Palestine. I say, and I can only say this in an informed audience like this, who'll get the joke, but I say that they are the gay Naturi Carter. Every group, every community has some absolute nutters, and if Queers for Palestine never went to Palestine, they'd have to move to Israel. Although, to make a slightly off-colored joke I've got to be careful about, I did say recently in an interview in Israel that I said to an interviewer, I was trying to get a moment of levity in a not very light-hearted moment. I said, did you know there's a truce? Hamas have invited Queers for Palestine to come to Gaza, and they've said it's safe for them, and it is because there's no more tall buildings to throw them off. But I wanted to focus more on a third group, which is much, much more concerning. And the third group is the group that is the woefully uninformed. There's no reason why a Canadian student getting their parents into debt to go to university should come out malevolent and thick. But weirdly enough, in all of our countries, this happens. How has it happened? It's happened, in my view, because there has been a system of intense indoctrination from a form of thought, if you can call it that fell out of the American Academy. And it is a perception of the world which has almost nothing to do with the world. But the perception of the world is everything in life can be seen through this prism. It's oppressor and oppressed, colonialist and colonized, victim, perpetrator. And this very inadequate analysis of the world is transplanted onto the Middle East. And they think it works there. This doesn't work anywhere, this ideology. The people who follow this ideology have not yet solved the problems of one council area anywhere in the world So I, if I was them, would be humble about trying to transplant it everywhere. But this perception is the one these people are running off. And obviously, it is just laden with bad thought, contradictions. I mean, let me just give a couple. Weren't these same people the ones that told us over recent years, believe all women? Weren't they the same ones? Weren't these the people who said, believe all women, right up to the point that Jewish women were being raped on camera? And they had nothing to say. Nothing. When they say, oppressor oppressed, who do they think was being oppressed on the 7th of October? Who do they think? When they give their full-throated support to genocidal chants like from the river to the sea, and again, as we all know, they couldn't point to the river and they don't know the sea. But when they do this, thinking they're doing something good, those young people have to be educated, to use one of their favorite terms. Let me educate you. Always said by the person who knows least. But to educate them for a moment, I would always say that if these people, and we see them all over the Western campuses, I don't say this at all lightly, but I would pity them if they ever got their way. Because these people think that they have oriented their sense of social justice towards being anti-fascist and anti-Nazi. And, you know, I wonder how they would think if they got their way and realized that they'd finished the work of Adolf Hitler. I, for themselves, hope they never get their own way. And I hope they can be educated out of the evil that they have been educated into.